I'm thirsty. You're making it worse. And then the next one is water baby.
Can't even call it phone. You can't even ask how the day was. something deeper to me. I've been missing you for 10,000 hours. I cannot let go. 10,000 memories. I've been missing you for 10,000 hours. Yeah, I cannot let go. 10,000 memories. Have you ever loved someone, then lost their one? Have you ever missed someone and ain't coming back? You can't even tell that one, 'cause they're not here to hear it. Do you hear me? Nothing in life's guaranteed. You'll see.
Nothing is guaranteed. Okay, shut up, bitch. Hello, Gogo.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question? How much is a sack of potatoes, Kamo?
It's maybe body shop, body, like body shop on sale, like it's looking car. But when you go straight to my money, 76.
It's a whole.
Just straight.
And then Zako, how should we go veggie land? Next time, how ya veggie land? Unchekele ne?
Yeah, I could easily think, could it's a maybe
Oh, Malume Abu Jeff. Yay! How are you feeling? How are you feeling? You don't like it?
I don't know, it's a more
Okay. Okay. Maybe today it's a good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's the next time. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's on the tips. Only tapu, there is a gay tapu. Look at the chips.
Okay. Sahekela amudi chips.
Okay.
Okay, go. Okay.
Alright then.
Okay, how's your day going?
Trailer.
Okay. Alright, demo. Hold out a little longer. I'm almost there. Okay. Okay, go. Talk later. Thank you. Okay. Okay, bye.
I'm not being difficult. I just say things differently. You don't see the urgency. That really worries me. The problem is that we think naturally. We have time, but you'll find anything can happen. Don't take it for granted. You know, I've been missing you for 10,000 hours. I cannot let go. 10,000 memories. I've been missing you for 10,000 hours. I cannot let go. 10,000 memories.
Thinking back on some good times we had with some bad people like I should have saw she was see-through or he was evil like I wasted my good experience with these people like guess it was meant to be, he was teaching me life. So only half that memory's worthwhile. We had beef, but at least there's a birth of a child. Cool and flippant, reminiscing bad times with good people's terrific. Beautifully different, cause we still kick it. You said we can't be intimate, you said we can't go there. If this thing is going nowhere, it's so weird, now it's cold. Thought I had control, thought I took your soul, now I took your mind and graved my name. You told me that my mind is your favorite place to hang. 10,000 hours turned to 10,000 brighter flowers. What was mine
It's rough out here, guys. My car is being repossessed. My car getting repossessed. Entrepreneurship. Aish Absa. Askis. You didn't want to wait. I told you. I got retrenched, guys. I got retrenched last year. And then now with my retrenchment money, I'm like, hey, let me take a chance, you know. I settled my bills as much as I could, but there's still so much debt. The kids need to be fed. My mother wants her lifestyle. I want my lifestyle. So I had to do what I had to do, guys. Like, the money that was coming in, I didn't use it for me. I used it for the business. To try and see if I can. And I haven't been earning. I'm still unemployed. Guys, I'm unemployed. Can someone please employ me? Please, can someone give me a job? But I don't really come in the office and I don't really work for you. But I co-create with you, but you pay me. Then at least I can keep my car, guys. But I can't. I'm broke. I don't have nothing in my account. Zilch. You know why? All the promises that were made and the games being played by the corporations that I have been engaging in the past couple of months, has shown me flames. Guys, don't trust it, eh? They might type it nicely and sign and give you a handshake, but the other flip side of entrepreneurship, like when you get screwed over many a times and you're like, you know what, it's fine. Be like that, you assholes. Be like that. Okay, absolutely okay. Mm. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. It's like I'm getting my reports, you know? It feels like Malvern all over again. Damn, man. Mm, 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 mm,
Best song was the single,
mm, mm, mm.
but you weren't even living in the dead heights. The Black Beverly Hills, domesticated paradise. Palm trees and pools, the water's blue, swallow the pill, keeping it so real. Whatever you like, whatever feels
It's
good.
spread out quite evenly, I
Whatever
think.
takes your mind tonight, keeping it surreal. Not sugar free, my TV ain't HD, that's too real. Grapevine, mango, peaches and lime. Sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. Sweet life, sweet life. Sweet, 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 sweet life. Sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. You had a landscape when a housekeeper since you were born. The sunshine always kept you warm. So why see the world? You got the beach. Don't know why see the world when you got the beach. Sweet life. That song wasn't single. You couldn't turn your radio down. Satellite meter receiver can't seem to turn the signal fully off. Transmitting away and catching that breeze to your dead grave. But you're keeping it too real. Whatever you like, whatever feels good.
Whatever takes your mountain high. My free, my AV ain't HD, that's too real. Say it right.
Mango, peaches and lime, a sweet life.
Sweet life, sweet life, yeah. Sweet life, sweet life, your life, your life. When you got the beach, why see the world? When you got the beach, Cape Town. I want it. It's exactly what I need it to be. Neighborhood is going ape shit crazy. Since you were born, the stars are always kept you warm. So why see the world when you got the beach? When you got the beach. Point is, it's still half. It's still half. It's still half. It's still half. It's literally 54%, which means yes, I've got 38, 19 of them. I've got 19. Yes. Okay, I like it. I like it. Like, So that was last week's results. I'm about to go through 1 week and initial application. See, this is where it can dip. I'm scared to check it out, but okay. Okay, we read that. 1 week, we've dropped after 1 week. Okay, so it says, which is somewhat to be expected, and there was still 60% saying the product was excellent or very good. Oh, okay, so we dropped on excellent, but we shot straight up in very good. Okay. And who did we, okay, there's no poor, there's an increase in regular, so there's a drop in good. So there's people who kind of, it shifted though, right? Saying was excellent or very good. Key reactions 1 week. The respondents continue to have over 90% top 2 box agreements rating on the majority. And 6 of 24 over 80. Okay, so 6 benefits. Okay. Hydrated and feel soft. Okay. So strong, this is the moisturizer creates an instant glow. The product is easy to spread. Smoother, the product absorbs. Wow. Let's keep working it. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, that was not about it. It was likability of the scent and impact on fine lines and wrinkles. Also, it's probably what they did not say. Prickling. But there's a, okay.
ones have things in common. Ice cold, baby. I told you I'm ice cold. Ice cold. You want to go ahead, fly that thing. Hi. Hi. Fly alone. You always smoking in the house. What if my mother comes over? You can't get up and get a job. This little house
Okay.
in your back. You're the delight and the stoner with the sweetest guess what I was on. I had a pilot Joan. What you know about him? Oh, did she now? Then she took me home. We talking about Pilot Jones, Pilot Jones. Tonight you came stumbling across my lawn again. I just don't know why. I keep on trying to keep a grown woman sober. See there, go reaching up the light. No, I don't know much, but I ain't been touching no wine.
Okay.
The and the stoner with the sweetest kiss I've ever known. I knew what I was ever known. I had a pilot. You know about that? She did a pilot. Then she took me home. Pilot Jones, Pilot Jones. In the sky above. I saw the stars I've seen before. But I was wondering what was in so many ways. But if I got a condo on a cloud, then I guess you can stay at my place. Ooh, I'm a new one. I need ya. Admit you're my pilot Jones.
True. Look at my big beard. How about yours? Good. Yo, Chi-Town, New York. Where you at? Where you at? Cape Town in the house. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Vacation twisted, whatever happened, missed it. Vacations I didn't like, put myself through a guilt trip. All these beautiful places, but the cities be poor. You wealthy when your kids upbringing better than yours. All this money we getting could be gone in a minute. If we don't invest it, we long-term affected. Watch who you getting pregnant, that's long-term stress. I got a meal for every bump on your face, that's what I call a blessing. Flex it, I do. She looked at me like, damn, not surprised you showed up like the sky blue. She turned back around and walked back down the avenue. She's with
let's see if I look pretty for the meeting. Oh my gosh. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Look how messy I am. Like, look at this. I have dried lips because I've been cementitious environment. Just suck up the water, you know. That's why cement dust is so dangerous. Cement draws water. Okay, not too much. So we just lip. It feels so good. Okay. We're doing this. We're recording. Okay, so I am going to probably. Okay, I look decent enough, right? In these shoes, they walked a mile or two. Bum, bum. Got these legs, they've done work, I left them black and blue. Okay, let's join. Hi, Adam.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you? Are you good? Can you hear me? I am so sorry.
Yes.
Let me close the windows. There's a lot of construction and noise. I'm just gonna close the window now.
No worries.
My goodness. Adam, I'm literally a construction worker today. At the office, like literally wearing overalls and doing self-leveling screens, and like I can't stop being a geek about things because one of our products that we sell, or at least we're trying to market, is the cellulose. And cellulose works in personal care, but it also works in construction. So back when I was in corporate, there's a time when I was actually a salesperson for chemicals that go in the construction industry. And you can imagine, like, the industry is like very male dominated, and I'm quite tiny, so I'm like this small little rep coming onto site and all of that. And so I was like, if we're gonna redo, the space, the Alta space, and obviously this is retail, so consumers coming in here, but this is also the same space where we want to replicate what we're doing with you, right? In a local setting and in a cool space way. And I was like, my goodness, the self-leveling screed, all the companies that make self-leveling screed in South Africa, they were my customers. So, obviously, I mean, business is business. I'm still trying to convince them to just take my cellulose. But they're like, you're busy with lipsticks. Like, why are you here? And I'm like, okay. Once I'm done, I'm coming for you guys. But anyway, so I was like, it would be cool to just incorporate just the science element of it, right? And actually record as I changed the space. Like, I literally did the floors last week. I hope I don't give you vertigo from all of this. I just did this screed this morning. So I'm exhausted because obviously I'm like picking up like 20 kg bags and like, doing with the blender and watching YouTube channels, but also consulting with the very companies, right? Like 2 weeks ago, I was with one company called Prestige. And I was like, listen, as soon as I'm laying the towels, I'm doing the same thing that I'm doing with Adam. We're going to just record the stuff and just talk about it and just talk about the science behind this and me trying to be a Tyler. And I'm like, yeah. I think the whole founder thing is getting to my head, but I'm enjoying it. So, but excuse the mess and excuse the echo. And so I was doing that today. I'm gonna get I'm doing this, then letting the pros do, the serious stuff, and get out of their way, and then go back to the office.
That's amazing, very exciting.
But not as excited as reviewing the report. And I must say, listen, I looked at the first initial results, and it's as if you knew how us typical brand people are, because my heart was like, okay, okay, Tembi, it dipped, maybe, but we expected it. It's okay. Just breathe, just take your time, it's fine. And I literally felt like I was at the principal's office reviewing my year report.
You got it. Yes, exactly. Or at least that's how we call it. Yep. Your notes or those kind of things, your grades, you got it.
But it's been great. So I've reviewed it, and it gave me an idea for the interview and questions. So, I mean, I had the questions right here in terms of what the team wanted to ask. It was typical consumer type of questions, right? More focused on the open-ended, and that being the discussion with us. But considering how well laid out the report is and how we touch on different themes and how you break it down, I actually thought it would be a great idea to record the session as we go through it. But as we go through it, we talk about the importance, not just for Alta, but as an industry, and just touching on that. And then I'm going to use this recording and send it to the team. Then at least they now have the full week's, the initial and this one's report, the 1 week report. They can view that, and that's their training in a way, because I'm trying to be very economical with time, considering just the things that are on my table. And then if we record this quite nicely, send it to them, then I think then it'll be a much more greater interview, if one can put it, recorded proper interview, when now you have a marketing team that's really gone through the content and are now ready to review it way at the end. And I'm actually tempted to also sort of step back and fine, we're waiting for the 3 week one now, right? The next one is it's the initial, the 1 week, and then the 3 week, right? The 4, which is basically 4 weeks. So for that one, I think it'll be then when we can then do the interview, because now the team is already trained. They would have prepared some nice questions to sort of follow up, and you're giving us sort of like that, the last one. And we're going through that and we're dissecting it as a team in terms of what does it really mean for the brand, what does it mean in terms of the language we want to use within the scope of science and within the scope of product focus, right? Like what's really important for the consumer and what the product's quality and criteria is. So we still remain product focused rather than a marketing approach that's more about just using claim language, right? So making it still very product driven. And I thought that would actually then be quite nicer, because then you're reviewing with us. We are all trained in how this template kind of flows. It informs the conversation, and it also allows us to delve deeper and give whatever questions that we might have from a marketing point of view. But also we're talking about the importance of this type of work for industry, and to make sure that we keep the integrity of personal care, right? Still being responsible and sustainable in how we do things, so that it's not about greenwashing, but like being as authentic as you can be in terms of your product, and managing those expectations like we spoke last week. So that's the thinking that I have, and I don't have the capability of recording on on Teams. It took away the ability to record. I don't know, since the updates, I don't have it. So I was thinking maybe we could set up on Zoom, because I know Zoom is easy to just record and get a link after that, right? Which is downloadable. So I don't know how comfortable you are, and then we can move the presentation to Zoom, record it, and then that's what we share with the team. What do you think?
That's doable.
Okay, awesome. I think you had already done. Oh, did you remove the Zoom? Because I think I might still have it. Let me see.
I'm not sure. We can set up pretty quick.
Oh, we never set it up with. Okay. I always remember.
No. It's there. It's just it stayed on my time, so it's like at 10 a.m.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So that's the 5 o'clock. That's the 5 o'clock shift.
Yeah. But just it's the same link and all those sorts of things. So it's really not an issue at all.
Oh, okay. So we can still jump into that one. Oh, but then it'll give it time. Do we have to then join at 5? Do you want to take maybe a break?
We'll do it right. I'm going to put the link, I think, in the chat here, hopefully, and it'll be
perfect. So in the chat.
In a second.
Okay.
It's funny, I lost the screen here. Sorry. There we go. There's too many windows open.
No stress.
I don't know why that's not. Won't let me send anything.
Oh, there. I think I have it. Zoom.
Yeah, that's a 3.
Yeah, I have it. So I'm gonna try jump on that. Let's see.
Either way, if not, I'll send you an email as well. But we can get going there.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Right. See you in a
Drop off. Cheers. Okay. Now join from your browser.
connected to audio. We should be good.
Good. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Cool. I wonder if I should get headphones because I think, but can you hear me clearly now? Is there any echo?
No, it's very mild.
Okay. So I just wonder if...
Not bad at all.
It's not bad. Do you think we can continue?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So you're recording this one, hey, for us?
Not just yet, but I will.
Okay.
You can see the presentation?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Very good. So we're good to go. Where would you like me to begin?
Okay, so let's start in the beginning. I know it's something that we had already done just give a bit of background in terms of test design and what it is about. I think we can skip, so background of the business, not necessary, but more of test design and custom designed use test. What does that necessarily mean? And panelists' qualification criteria, we know what that is about, but I think there were some insights maybe you wanted to go through there. But I just want to make sure that I also don't have too many windows and I'm following your...
This meeting is being recorded.
Got it, okay. Following your screen. Okay, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll give you a little bit of background on what considerations we took in terms of the test design. So the overall approach is that the consumers are using the product in their own environment and their own skincare routine. So this is something that allows you to have sort of a better read in terms of the product performance, and not only just on a single use, but again, like the moisturizing oil sort of requires, is just more use, we get more results.
Yeah.
So the idea there is then as well, just to, the custom design portion is that, we want to make sure we learn what the brand and the product is designed to do and what the brand wants to say. Yeah. So the usage period we just set as a month. Again, just not too short, not too long, something where we think we can get the information that we want from the consumers. And again, just the balance of making sure that we're getting all of the information before, there's some respondent fatigue or people drop out and life happens, holidays happen, all of those sorts of things. So the base size we normally do, we kind of always look for like a minimum of 30 people. When we're doing sort of claim support testing, those things, sometimes people have prototypes and they have very few. You can do it as a qualitative test. You can do hundreds of people as well if you have the resources and the interest, and maybe you're making a multi-million-dollar business decision. And so spending, that amount of money on a piece of research is, worth it to justify a business investment, those sorts of things. So, and again, typically just over time, not all people will be diligent and follow through. So we typically start out with more placements, and then end up with making sure that we try to have by the end of the test still a base size that's reportable of at least 30 people. And again, just looking for the consumer target. So just, the work that you guys have done on your side, making sure, who you want to talk to, who would be the, primary target for the product. And so the qualification criteria are there, and just making sure that there are people that are semi-involved in the category. So you don't want somebody who just doesn't really care about skincare. You want to avoid recruiting those folks. And then otherwise, just the same thing, just different criteria that you guys were interested in, making sure that somebody is in the household that might be able to give them some feedback or notice a change when they're using the product. Yeah. So that's overall just the test design. We just did it in, again, it's not right there, but just 2 cities, 2 locations. There's nothing very specific about that. It can be done anywhere. But just in New York and the Chicago kind of metro area, we just split the 40 placements in between those 2 cities, just to have a little bit more representation. Again, with 40 people, you can't do it in 10 cities, but definitely, again, 2 is better than 1. The overall perception is kind of where we start off. So this is just the, overall rating of the product, just how people, their initial reaction on a very simple 5-point scale, which is from excellent, poor to excellent. And so you can just think about poor being kind of a 0, excellent being 100. And then each one of those different, points on the scale is just a, 25, 50, 75. So this is, again, to your point where, you might have felt that things didn't go as planned. But I think this is also the importance of just getting different touch points, right? So people have an initial reaction to the product. You might want to think about it as like the honeymoon or those sorts of things where it's just that, oh my God, wow, this is amazing. And so you see maybe a few more people being very positive and saying, this is excellent. And then you get home and you kind of get to reality and you got to cook and you got to clean and do all the other fun stuff. And so, that's it. This is just a little bit more of into their routine, into their normal day-to-day. And honestly, if you look at it, sometimes you'll see throughout the presentation, we would look at sort of the top 2 box agreement scale, which is, again, people that say, I, strongly agree or somewhat agree. So people that are kind of positive to the different statements and how the product is performing relative to those benefits. And so the same sort of thing here. If you look, there's, about 60, like if you take excellent plus very good from the initial application, 29% plus 32%. So you're right there at about 60%. And the same sort of thing, like with excellent and very good, even after the 1 week, a little bit less in the excellent, a lot in the very good. And so you're still, and again, a very, people are enjoying using the product, big picture, that's it. Like you don't see any, major shift downward, those sorts of things. A couple more people, like those from 11% to 17%, that's probably 2 people. So again, the same sort of thing. Just there are going to be people that love your product, and there are people going to be that it's nice, and there are going to be people that it's not for me. And so the same sort of thing. I think just having a little bit more of that. To your point, it's a little bit difficult pill to swallow sometimes, but it's like, not everybody's going to love the product, but relatively speaking, that's okay. If you get the majority of people that are interested in it, it delivers the benefits and are enjoying the experience. Again, big picture for the business, this is, this is a product that you can market, sell, and have confidence that it's going to deliver on the benefits that you're interested in.
And before you move on, Adam, I sort of want to also give that context of, the first experience versus now 1 week, right? So last week we took the time, we looked at the results for the initial application. And those results were super strong, right? And we got such insights, and we both sort of were like, oh, okay, there's quite a lot of insights here to actually pick up because the results were so strong. However, it's important, I think, to also go back as to why it's important to have the first initial application included in a consumer study, because yes, you can look at a claim that, this works over 28 days, that's great, but especially for a natural product, competing against other, synthetics that cause beautiful sensorial effects. So first application quite being important, but that's just us. In terms of when designing your study like this, touch on really the first initial application and why it probably offers such strong insights even after 4 weeks because of just that initial impact and the sensorial behavior or sensorial expectations that we have with personal care products. I think, when it comes to just humans, the first engagement can either lose you or keep you because, it's so against your skin, it's so intimately close that you kind of want the sensorial benefit. But touch on really the importance of having these initial ones and how that on its own can also offer value in terms of claim support.
Perfect. So I think there is, to your point, and I don't want to give anybody the impression there's like a right way to do things or a wrong way to do things, right? It just, each of the different choices that we make just sort of have consequences, right? And so, we could make the choice to not check in with the consumer until 1 month, right? So we could give the product to them, please use it for a month, and then we could go check in with them. But again, you guys are spending valuable money, right? And so it's the same sort of thing. Like if there was something wrong from day one, so let's say that there was a contamination issue, and all of a sudden, just after that first use, like you had more than half of the people saying, wow, this is there's an issue with the product, and like this is terrible. Well, it'd be nicer to know after a day versus after 4 weeks and you spent all the money and those sorts of things. So that's just like maybe a higher level type of issue, those sorts of things. The other one is as well, you can you touched on it already, is that there's an initial impression, right? So just like when you're meeting somebody for the first time.
Hold on. Like,
Little background noise to compete with.
there's another one.
You tell me when to keep going.
It's usually a convoy, so I didn't want to put you through the torture of you having to like, oh my gosh, I'm speaking and it's like these. So sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, just to your point, it's you want to know the first day if there's gonna be an issue. Yes, it's a high point level type of example, but it's still a necessary factor to consider.
Checkpoint. It's a very good checkpoint, because I think that it's one of those where your product isn't gonna deliver all of the benefits that people will see over time. That's for sure. So you want to make sure that you look, with the right lens at what the data is and what the results are, right? So, being the type of product that it is, though, it's going to be very moisturizing. It's going to be, it's going to give their skin a very radiant look. You don't need to wait a week, to see that type of a benefit. Although we know that the same thing, their skin will get benefits, the longer, they use it and the more frequently they build it into their daily skincare routine. So you don't want to look at it like, oh my God, all of our problems are solved and this is amazing, because at the same time, it's only a single use. And so it's not, a miracle potion that's going to be a, one use and done and you're cured, and, maybe a once a year application, not that type of a product. But at the same time, there are just, there are a whole lot of different, sensorial reactions to the feel. Does it absorb well? Even just as we talked as well, just the packaging, right? So when you're starting a business, this package might be the final package. It might be a prototype. It might be something in between. And so just, you might want to be learning about the oil inside the bottle, and all you have is feedback that they can't get it out of the bottle. And so, again, things that, could be providing sort of a negative impression on the overall proposition between the package and the product. But again, just those are the things that you can learn, in a single use environment. We talked about it as well the last time, but the scent. So, just a choice, whether it's fragrance free, whether it has a fragrance, whether the ingredients have the natural fragrance, and that's what you're leveraging. All of those sorts of things will play into the overall product experience. And so I gave you the analogy. I, again, spent some time working in laundry detergents, and it's the same thing. You can have the best, laundry detergent that cleans incredibly. But if it doesn't have any bubbles, then consumers will, just say, well, doesn't make any suds, it doesn't make any bubbles, then it's not going to clean. And so it's the same sort of thing, even like in the shampoo space, where people are using like a sulfate free shampoos, those sorts of things, and there's a lot less lathering, those sorts of things, and it can be that balance between not cleaning versus caring for the hair and the coloring treatments that you're doing. So all of those sorts of things build into this overall sort of sensorial experience, which you can get immediately, and you want to know kind of where you stand. And then over time, those things can change, right? So that's the whole idea of setting up just an initial kind of 1 week and 1 month survey. In the case of this test, just to make sure that we're kind of checking in along the way to know where we're at. And the same sort of thing, you can kind of see what the upside is, what the downside is, and where things trend over time, right? Are the people more and more excited as they use it? Does it kind of hit a plateau and then sort of level off, so that that even in future testing, maybe a week is more than enough, right?
Yeah.
Like there isn't from 1 week to 1 month, maybe we aren't going to learn major differences or those sorts of things, or maybe you're going to start to see the trend line, right? But like it's not always up and to the right? You're not going to see a constant slope of just increasing consumer benefits and those sorts of things, right? You will start to see the plateau over time, just because, again, that's, just typically how humans will react to certain things. So that's the brief overview. So this is just the very much, not getting into specific details about the product, but just overall what the reaction would be to the, to the entire proposition.
Awesome. I mean, that leads us straight into actually reviewing now the data, right? So seeing that trend line, I think probably after 4 weeks, after reviewing everything, you start seeing if there is plateaus. But okay, talk us after just 1 week. I felt a whole lot better, I must say, because I looked only at the first number. In the previous slide, I looked at the first number being the excellent, right? And I'm an A personality type, so as soon as I was like, what? Oh my gosh, what a drop. And then you looked at, oh, okay, it still stayed within the very good. And it's like, okay, that's the thing about numbers. They can be so deceptive, right? Because you just take a perception of, oh my gosh, it dropped in the excellent and therefore it's, oh, what's going on? But when you actually look at the product, what you are trying to scientifically in some form quantify in terms of product benefit, right? So it was also a humbling moment to kind of go back to what you're actually trying to test, which comes to this next slide. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the other one is also just keep in mind, just like always keep in mind you're a consumer as well too. And so, how many things would you say are excellent, right? And I know that you guys are in love with your products, and we all tend to be in love with what we're doing. And it's our baby, it's our child, it's like they're obviously the best, right? But just in general, like only a certain portion of people can be the best, right? There's a kind of a normal distribution for the most part, and things tend to lump into the middle there. So again, I think to your point, it can be a little bit emotional to look at it and that's it. But I think if you just take a step back and look at it from just a consumer perspective and how you react to certain things, the same sort of thing. So that's it. It can also be just, how do you continue to elevate the bar, right? Like, how do you just make sure that experience over time, can stay as high as you can? And then the last thing is, again, this is a smaller base, right? So this is also 40 people. This isn't, a huge quantitative study, and you don't want to read way too much into it, but it's a little bit of a nice sample to make sure that you have sort of that external feedback that are, not attached to the brand or don't know the owner of the company or the founder or the formulator or those sorts of things. So these are just kind of average Joe consumers, and that's it. So now we're shifting gears a little bit. So not the overall rating, but going into more specifically on very specific benefit statements. How much do they agree or disagree? So again, the same sort of thing, a 5-point scale. And as I mentioned before, strongly agree, some would agree, looking at those different agreement scales and looking at who's positive versus kind of who's negative. And then the chart is just organized by first sort of that top 2 box agreement. So the column all the way to the right has your highest ratings. And then the secondary kind of differentiator is the strongly agree column. So you might see some ups and downs and not strongly agree, and why isn't that one higher, or those kind of things. But if you look, everything's organized by that last sort of top 2 box agreement, or again, the people that are either somewhat agreeing or, strongly agreeing with the different statements and the different benefits of the product, right? And so, you can ask it in, again, a lot of different ways, and the marketing tweaks and twists and those sorts of things. So we try to cover things that are, within the space, within the, vocabulary of the different brands of what you might be using or not. There isn't, again, you don't have to use certain words or other, like, this gives you hopefully a space of what's available. And that, over time as well, just you can know that those little subtle differences don't necessarily make a difference so much in consumers' mind, but they might make, a brand, language choice, more in line with the other one. And so at least we're covering a wide range of things that are in similar spaces, but just can, cover the different language that, the marketers might like to use when talking about the different benefits. Okay. So this is, again, just very, very positive, right? This is 9 out of 10 claims. This is 90% agree, 90% saw the benefits, however you want to kind of put it. And I didn't, just to present the slides, the information. We'll see in the next slide as well that they continue in the 90%. In the initial application, I think I try to put a break point at some point. So this is all just sort of artificial, me presenting the data and how it is. in PowerPoint and how it fits there, right? So, but just everything soothed, hydrated, soft, nourished, both feel and look. So we're going after both of those aspects, right? Because again, the same sort of thing. How do you feel versus how does somebody potentially perceive you, or when you look in the mirror, those sorts of things, right? So in beauty care, there is that balance of making sure that you're getting, ideally both, that you look and feel great, right? So sometimes you can feel great and look horrible, or again, the same sort of thing. You can look great, but the feeling you just don't really like, right? So that's why a lot of those things, there's an intentional sort of subtlety in getting both of those, both of those covered here. And again, just very, very impressive results across the board here, right? So this is just I think a resounding success in terms of just, again, now we got that touch point at the initial, we know where people stood at the beginning. After they've been using it, again, the most people have been using it on a daily basis, if not, twice a day. That you again see that things are, trending in the right direction, right? And so as you go through the rest of the benefits that we tested, very strong, and almost all but 3 are above that sort of 80%. Typically, just my rule of thumb for, talking to clients is about 75%. So like 3 out of 4 people, perceive the benefits is something that you might want to talk about and market and sell. That doesn't mean you can't if it's like, again, the 71%, like I like the scent of the product, like you could, again, say 7 out of 10 people or 70% people agree with this, they like the scent of the product. Now, it's just one of those ones where just, things tend to be a little bit more impactful when they're, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 90% of people agree, et cetera. So that's it. And then at the same time, just a couple that we did throw in there, just the fine lines or wrinkles. So number one, the base size is a little bit lower here. So there are some young folks that feel that they are still without those issues. They haven't developed those issues. So, that's one of the things where this is just a little bit of a reality check, right? Like these are some of the things like, in the beauty industry, can you regrow hair? Can you get rid of fine lines and wrinkles? The Botox treatments and medical treatments and this and that, this gets into those really, challenging things. And so we can ask, there's nothing to lose, right? And so, and we even have some people that do agree, right? Like, but it's not these aren't going to be the key selling points that I would say, let's go all out behind, this is going to erase your wrinkles and, make fine lines disappear. That's it. And like, the same sort of thing, like maybe over time something will happen, but there are also just, I would say, again, there are more primary factors in terms of aging, exposure to sun and, all sorts of other different factors where people are trying, right, across the beauty industry. And so there's nothing that you should feel bad about or those sorts of things. But these are just where Mother Nature is even a little bit stronger in terms of, what it would take to develop, products that deliver, benefits there. And who knows, maybe we'll see those things trend up over the course of more time. So as the skin is more hydrated, more supple, those sorts of things, maybe people, do see a difference there. But just so that's it. So you have great results. And I think these are the things where you don't have to feel bad about any of this. And sort of what the limits are of what you can claim, what you can say, what the benefits that will be perceived. And then as you generate trial, right, like you're also much more confident that very quickly, from the initial reaction to even just after a week, people are going to see and enjoy, the benefits of the product. I spoke a little bit there, I think I sent it in the email, but the odor, I think was in the like high 50s in terms of like the top 2 box and went up to the 70s. So the same sort of thing, if it trended down, right, you might say, oh, wow, this, the overall odor profile is sort of holding things back. And just, I don't have enough knowledge to, if you guys say it's fragrance free or if it's not fragrance free, I don't want to get into that one because I know that there's some like natural inherent, scent to the product, but at least right now, you really have people that are, using it for longer. They're getting feedback from people around them. And, in general, it's trending in the right direction. So more people are getting accustomed to it, getting used to it. And I think it's the same sort of thing that just, again, happens in all of the sort of scent industry or those sorts of things, which is that we do get accustomed to odors. And it's one of those initial reactions that we have. And then over time, things kind of, sort of settle down a little bit. As long as it's something that big picture is positive, accepted, those sorts of things. If it's something that's still really a sort of a negative reminder, I think it definitely would show up here, but it seems to be, again, trending in a positive direction.
Yeah, and I mean, 100%. That is one of, I mean, two things sort of stood out for me on the slide, and one of them definitely was the scent, because with the first, and I just want to take it back in terms of context, because with natural products, again, you're competing with a synthetic, right? But you're also competing with human preference, right? And when you're developing a product, like you were saying earlier, you're factoring in just the human behaviors. A soap is not a soap if it doesn't bubble, if it doesn't have bubbles coming up. With especially now with personal care, fragrance is such an important aspect of formulating. Fragrance is massive. Perfumes and all of those things, I mean, they have their own psychology and just, happy element to it and attachment to it. And, the olfactory is one of the sensitive senses that we have. So it was, the first week it was like, okay. But I suppose what I'm trying to bring home is, in designing, the importance of actually putting in things that also might be, one, uncomfortable because it's not necessarily your strong point, which I suppose then speaks into the last two points that we added, that we score low on, but it's things that you can ask just to see, the reaction, just to see, if it works. But how important is it to put those things that, for us, that was an uncomfortable thing, right? The scent, because we're a little bit self-conscious. We know it's a natural product. It's not as, very beautiful to the, that synthetic type of fine-tuned fragrance and scent. So, but how important is it in design to put in those elements that can make you feel uncomfortable as a brand, but probably give you the right insight that you need?
So to your point, it's huge, right? I think it's one of those ones where we always used to talk about it as like when you sit in a conference room and you sit in meetings and discuss things. It's very different than being out on the street and in real life with the customers and those sorts of things. So we tend to be ultra focused, and we're very self-conscious about what our strong points are and what our weak points are, or whatever those constructs are that we have in our mind, right? So the other one that I was talking about is that in specifically in terms of what you put on your face, what you use as a moisturizer, again, could just be a base layer, right? So, you have, generally speaking, multiple products in a, skincare routine. For males, maybe not. Maybe a male, approach is a little bit simpler than a female approach, but, just in general, even in some of the voluntary comments that you saw there, like, they appreciated that there was a more subtle scent or a lighter scent, and it didn't compete. It wasn't something that was like screaming out to people like a scent that they had to wear around and walk around with versus what they typically are used to. So it's one of the ones where I think, and I talked to you, it's like an intentional choice from the brand. So it's an important element to the brand. And you just want to make sure that, again, it's a good choice for the brand, right? So in a lot of the times it's not, do you like it or you dislike it or those sorts of things, right? Likes and dislikes are, just one aspect of things, right? But is it functional? Is it doing, what it's supposed to do? And then as well, does it fit? Is it, as best I understand it, this is a natural product. And so if you had something that was, very, amazing from a scent standpoint, it might be going and working against that sort of natural equity or that you're trying to establish in something that is, I think you talked about it in terms of authenticity, right? So it's like, how can you be something that's just like off the top smells, oh my God, amazing, when the reality is this is, an oil that's a little bit more functional than it is, something to be, replacing a perfume or those sorts of things, right? So just choices. And I think that this is, again, you just want to make sure as well that it's not going to be something that's negatively impacting as well. So you don't want to go in there blind and just say, to your point, you have questions, is this right? Is it not, good enough, and those sorts of things. And so if you ask the question, then you have the data and you can make the decision and move on, right? So a lot of the times taking things out of people's opinions, and this is what I believe, or this is what my mother said, or this is what my spouse says, this is what my friends say, having things be a little bit more objective and data driven, doing this type of research really helps the business make better decisions, right? And so, we all think we're experts, and there's nothing wrong. Again, I think that's just our nature. We all want to be right, but at the same time, just knowing who the target consumer is and what they think really trumps everything and is more important than whoever is sort of sitting around a table making decisions, right? So, these are the people that you want to attract, that you want to purchase and fall in love with the product and use it on a daily basis, right? And so all of that's going to be very valuable insights. Okay, so this again is the meat of the study. The other thing that just does help, which is a little bit more on sort of the qualitative side, or helps bring some of the numbers to life. Sort of what's behind it is, again, when we ask sort of an open-ended question. So what do you like or what do you dislike about the product? And we do this right at the start. So before that whole battery of benefit statements, the actual questionnaire goes from that overall rating, what you like, what you dislike, and then we go into the benefit statements, such that we're trying not to contaminate, their impressions. We're just trying to get their initial reactions to things. Now, again, you can argue, well, we did the initial survey, so people were already sort of contaminated. They know what we were looking for. They know what sort of language and benefits. So that's true. But at the same time, it's just an opportunity for the consumer to give feedback in their own words as to what they liked and what they disliked. I'm not going to go into great detail here, just because, again, the presentation could be very, very long. But you can read through them and just the subtlety. How do people talk about things? And again, in real people's language. They're not going to write you an essay. They're not going to give you, 2 pages of, feedback on things. And so it'll be kind of short little snippets. But again, the same sort of thing, just little insights as to what people do pick up and what people do appreciate about the product.
And I think but I must say, this is what also attracted me to how you designed the study and the biggest appeal, right? Allowing for these types of the consumer writing in their own language, the way they know how. The beauty of having this for me as a brand, or the person behind it, but also from just a relatability point of view, a human point of view, because when the language is very everyday, even I can relate, can put down my hat as the brand and relate to those words and kind of get what they're saying. But what was cool was that it's already done. It's already them giving you the marketing. It answered what we wanted as a brand to say. We want to know how we must speak to you and what you're going to really look out for and what you really enjoy. So to your point, open-ended questions, and I know this is the other part that I also enjoyed, how we it was a back and forth in terms of, okay, do you really want to put this in? Don't you want to put this in? Okay, think about that one. Do you really want this to be open-ended? Without going into details of the answers here specifically, also just touching on why would you want to have open-ended questions? Yes, it's the consumer sort of speaking in their own mind, but I think you touched on it earlier, but maybe expanding on it, bringing the numbers to life. But also being very careful that, again, this is very small base of people. It's not this huge survey. So being very cautious, and what type of caution you would then give to us as a brand to say, okay, this is what they're saying, but, take it with this type of pinch of salt.
Yeah, I think this is this is where we try to get into sort of you don't have absolute certainty, right? So whether you test amongst 30 people, or you test amongst 300 people, or you test amongst 3,000 people, right? In market research, you're always taking a sample, right? So it's that sample size and how does that represent the general population, and so I think you can sort of use that sort of math or that order of magnitude, right? So 30 if you talk to 300, if you talk to 3,000. I think that big picture, this is where sort of the beauty industry has aligned to making sure that this is like the minimum that you want to talk to. But then the same thing, I don't think that you have to have any doubts in your mind that this will translate into the broader population. There might be slight differences in terms of a couple percentage points here and there, things go up or things go down, but I think the overall trends will be very similar, right? So The numbers won't be exactly the same, but they should be, in the same, in the same general direction. The same thing here, there might be other subtleties, right, where we might get things wrong, and this might not be a good one. So let's just spend some time on scent for a second here, right? So we had about 6 mentions of scent that people weren't exactly, favorable about the scent, right? So in the base size that we're testing between 30 and 40 consumers, right, that's somewhere between, 15 to 20% of the population, let's say, if you really wanted to extract it out, that are looking for products that have either, a stronger scent, a different scent. It could be a whole, range of options, right, when we talk about scent. But at the same time, you have the positives, and that overall it's not, a major impact, that's gonna, affect you going forward, right? But that it could be an opportunity going forward, that there could be a second, version of it, or a scented or an unscented, or, natural versus, taking it in a specific direction there. So I really think that, again, to your point, there is a complement here that, allows you to get a little bit deeper than, what's top of mind for people. What are they enjoying about the product, and what do you want to sort of highlight from a marketing standpoint? And then at the same time, you just want to make sure that you know what your brand is going to stand for, and just what is going to be the, kind of the core, benefits that you want to drive in terms of, the equity of what you're building.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
All right.
Love it.
So this is, again, just, feedback from family and friends. So knowing, again, just have people noticed, and definitely there was a, at least, kind of more than half of folks, definitely saw the, people were commenting on that, different aspects of their skin. And so, just, that's it. I think it is one of the, the nature of the product as well will definitely make an impact, and that people are picking it up, I think is great. And overall it's, very positive there. So I think, just, very good news as well in terms of just, there is some external recognition. And again, this isn't, it's not like a blind test where, nobody knows that somebody's using it and we're trying to pick it up, right? So if they do have family members in the house or those sorts of things, I'm sure they're talking about it, or they see them in the bathroom and they see a new product in the bathroom and what's this? And, there's got to be some engagement. But I think overall, just the feedback here as well, just, very positive. So a good things. One of the ones that's, I think, you asked to include as well is just what's their initial reaction versus the 1 week usage. And again, overwhelmingly positive. Some people, again, had a positive impression from day one, so they said it stayed the same. So just because it stayed the same doesn't mean that that's a negative or a neutral aspect. That's actually just them saying, no, I'm still enjoying the product. So just be careful on kind of how you, interpret that. And then again, just really nobody that's starting to say like, I'd like to stop using it, or I, don't want to use it, those sorts of things. So again, just, overall, very positive feedback over time. And that, people are definitely seeing the benefits of using it, for the week.
Awesome.
And then this, again, just in the same presentation, I left it in so you have it as a reference point. So these are the same, questions. We try to keep it fairly consistent in terms of, what they ask at the initial, what they ask after a week. Sometimes I think here, like things about like the wrinkles or the fine lines, those type of questions we added in later on. So there might be things that over time, we want to ask versus at the start. So it doesn't always have to be exactly the same, but we at least try to keep the, the core of the survey the same so that you can track things over time, and just see how things are trending. And just, again, overall, very high ratings from the start. So that was a difficult benchmark to maintain. And you not only sort of maintained it, but you went up even a little bit, right? So I think overall the people that initially liked it, continue to like it. And then just a few more are even, more positive with more usage. Well, that's exactly the direction you like to see things going.
Yeah.
So I won't go through the entire deck here. I'll go through it a little bit quicker. This one, I also just had a little bit more time to analyze. So the same thing, sort of the initial reactions to people. What did they pick up after just a single application is included there. In the back of the slideshow, again, just this gives you all of the different aspects. Again, a little bit less than 40 people enrolled in the study, but just gives you a little bit more understanding of who the people were. What type of skin do they sort of self-describe themselves as, the different issues that they've had, over time, just what, different aspects of skincare are sort of top of mind or issues for them there. Again, this isn't meant to be, the entire population and what are the different issues that people face out there. But I think, again, it gives you, all of the things that you see there probably resonates in terms of just being, the day-to-day issues that, males, suffer through. And so all of those things are, I think, pretty straightforward. So there were also just these open-ended questions on sort of like when you say skincare, what comes to mind? And so, these are the open-ended questions as well that just were helping you get a little bit more understanding the respondent's skincare habits. So what are they kind of currently using on a daily basis, a few times a week, or less. And so that gives you just all the different ideas there. We talked this a little bit more, sort of what the brands are and just why they, like different products and use them in their daily routines today. What do they spend out of pocket in their minds on a monthly basis for skincare? And so, again, overall depends on the different markets. So this is the U.S. consumer, versus South Africa. So don't read too much into this. And this is also nobody's checking their receipts or nobody's checking their budget and those sorts of things. So also take it with a grain of salt. So it's not the end all be all, but just, in terms of where are you going to price the product? Again, just these give you slight indications, just more information to help make better decisions there. I didn't put a lot of data here. The fragrance versus fragrance free, it was kind of like a 50-50 split. There wasn't like a lot to be learned there. Again, I really do think it depends on the application. It depends. I think you're in a very safe space. I think your choice that you've made is just fine. And, depending on how much you want to market it and sell it and how you want to talk about it, I think it's important to set expectations to make sure people know what they're getting, so that they're not disappointed one way or the other. Like, I wanted an unscented product or I wanted a perfume product. At least they'll know. And so, that's more important there. I did include this question because you asked, but just so you know, there was not a lot to learn. There were 0 consumers that knew what fatty alcohols were. I only got one comment that was joking about something that they might not like to order at the bar. But other than that, there was just nothing that resonated there. So no chemists,
But
no.
I sure hope though we get to see the results though, the answers and what the answers were. We need those answers. It's part of the chemistry, the madness.
I can add in a direct quote there for you if you'd like there, but for sure. So there wasn't too much exciting there, but I did have one that I think will be valuable that I'll share and put it in the deck just to give you a smile.
Awesome.
Just again, things that you wanted to learn in terms of consumer profiling. These are tests that you can do on a more quantitative scale. So you can go do sort of a habits and practices study, or you can do usage and attitudes tests, so like different methodologies that get more at sort of profiling and helping you segment different consumers, or as you develop your targeting for marketing, that you can do those type of studies on a more quantitative basis. But again, big picture, I think this one sort of resonated with me in terms of just the, following probably a similar trend to what consumers are doing out there with Instagram, Facebook, and then again, TikTok with a younger population might be even more, prevalent in their day-to-day use, but with this kind of mixed age group of, some on the younger side, but also on the older side, still not as big as the first two. And then, again, something like LinkedIn, we talked to, it just depends on who the consumer is, right? Are they really an active professional and somebody that's either a salesperson or those kind of things, maybe using LinkedIn multiple times a day, or there are people that are looking for a job versus somebody who's in a steady job or really, doesn't need to use the service or doesn't have, a big desire to be looking or updating profiles or those sorts of things. So just a mixed engagement there with that social network. And again, just as you develop your targeting, it can just help you, recognize of, what are the different means. So pros and cons, again, not a bad or wrong decisions, but just knowing, what the different medium are in terms of how do people engage with them is just an important one. So again, I think, more on the qualitative side in terms of, less than 40 people, it's not going to tell you exactly what's going on in the market, but I think overall it gives you a pretty reasonable picture there. Again, just right about a 50-50 split between the two locations. And that's it for now. So more to come.
Awesome.
But hopefully that'll help get people up to speed in terms of what the results are and what's coming.
Yeah, no, 100%. This is I absolutely enjoy these sessions. I'm learning so much, right? And I think it's so exciting for me, and I'm trying to not be as biased and put all of this excitement and bias into into work and what I do. But I think it just goes to show how research and having a scientific view in how you want the feedback and basically how you want to see the product in the hands of your consumers, and trying to get that insight as clean and as pure and as authentic as possible. And research and science is a nice tool, right? Very objective, like we touched. So, but I enjoy these because it's like you really get into the minds of people and how they engage with the product. And I actually enjoyed the comment section the most. It's actually quite cool to read, because it's like, okay, and again, humbling. And I say humbling because these are people, right? So these are people that have families that, and the personal care industry is one of those industries that play such a pivotal role in terms of self-image, mental health, the way we view ourselves, how we take care of ourselves. It's more than just beauty, it's all kinds of things. But it's so great to actually get into the minds and actually be humbled by the process and see, like, okay, like whatever product you come out, you need to be very responsible with what you do. Yes, it's decisions in the boardroom, but always having that foresight that this has to land on someone, and how do they engage with it. But getting the data like this, I'm in heaven, and you do it so well. So thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. A pleasure. And again, I think to your point, it's one of those ones where staying connected with your consumer, staying in touch, just absolutely, critical to be successful in the business side of things, right? So there's still all of the marketing and all of the distribution and all of the, other very challenging works to make the operation successful, right?
Yeah.
The price point and profitability and repurchase and, just there's an endless amount of, work to still be done, including painting and floors and, all sorts of wonderful things for the retail space. And so, again, but I think to your point, this does help give a little bit of energy, gives you, a little bit of that understanding and that connection to why you're, doing all of this.
Yeah.
And so, very important, I think, both from just what we talked and, important for people to have opinions and use their expertise in the industry, but also, staying grounded and knowing who your consumer is, knowing what they're talking about, what do they pay attention to, what are they taking away, is just, again, very, very valuable to help you continue to make, better business decisions and hopefully be more successful in your ventures. And so, again, just the beginning, but a very, very strong beginning, I would say. And again, hopefully the 4-week trend will probably be, if I had to make a prediction here, I'm on the record here. But I think, again, it'll be, I think, a very similar experience to what you see here in the first week, right? So we got that initial reaction. It was positive. We're seeing, 1 week. The only thing that might happen that could be a negative is if somebody runs out of product or, those type of things happen, right? So, we'll see what happens, but, big picture, I think that, you're on the right track.
Yeah, amazing. And look, I'm still just as nervous as I was with the initial application. Like, I thought I would feel better. Now I'm even more nervous because now it's like they're on their own, right? And you almost feel like going, okay, so they're on their own. They're doing this now. They're putting this on every day. They're going to get comments. They're going to really engage. So, like, okay, is it going to maintain? Is it not going to maintain? And I know, and that's the funny thing. I know the product. I've been using the product. But, when something is so close to your heart, and that's what I'm saying, I can't wait to step out of the way and let professionals get in. But, it's pretty cool, but it's also very important for as a brand, like you're saying, it's quite important to lifting us up. But but yeah, it's cool. I'm just happy. And I should stop babbling on because yeah, the crowds are getting. But yeah, but I'm happy. Very good, very good. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous for the 4 weeks. They're on their own. It's 2 weeks of just waiting and just okay. But yeah, I'm excited.
Super. Well, we'll be back in touch in a few weeks and have that update for the team.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So, Adam, that means we're going to skip next week, if that's okay with you.
I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to discuss the logistics because nobody else is going to be that interested in it.
Yeah.
So,
so what are we doing next week would be the results.
The recording has stopped.
Okay, so no, I mean, definitely we can check in and say hello next week.
Okay.
I won't have anything new and exciting, but if you want to just, touch base, we can do that.
Let's touch base. Maybe even the team would have, let's see. Let's still touch base. Let's keep it there so that let's see how the week pans out and we can have the time.
And we can say a quick hello and goodbye and everything's on track and that's fine too. So that's not a problem at all. And then, I'm just trying to think about it from a calendar standpoint. So then we should be
Thanksgiving. Hey, you were telling me, was it Thanksgiving or Halloween? No, Thanksgiving.
So yeah, you got it. So Thanksgiving now is tomorrow, and Friday. That's it. What I just was checking is again. I'm hoping that again we can get everybody to behave, and they should be getting their feedback such that like the December 6th meeting, we will have a similar chance to review all of the data.
Okay, nice. So that's when we can actually get the team in and probably do. So I'm gonna put that as a tentative then recording day for the 6th of December. I'm gonna send just a calendar invite from just my Apple profile, but just so that I also have it in my head that that's potentially recording and the team reviewing the data, and we're kind of doing
And by December 4th, I should be able to confirm that if it's, I have everybody's responses and I have the data, or if I'm still, trying to track down a few folks, to finish things off. But we'll confirm that.
Okay.
A little bit later.
Perfect. So placeholder, interview recording with research. I'm just going to say with research. And then, what did I do here? 6. No, it's not an all day. And then 6. What time is it? It's the 4 o'clock. Maybe we could actually make it 5. We can leave it for that your Zoom timeline of 5 p.m. I think will be much better. Just gonna put you Tim Isile, and then put marketing. And then marketing. Okay, so the digital marketing person, the marketing. Okay, done. And that is that. And adding that in. And hopefully it's there. Wait. Day. Sorry, Adam.
You're good.
I'm good. Just want to change the calendar to Alta. Done. Okay. So you'll get from a funny email address. It might go to your spam because of I don't know why Apple does that. It uses a funny email. I guess when I set it up, it hides your email or something. So it does like these random weird emails when doing calendar invites. And some people have firewalls that clearly don't like it. And I
I am also in the Apple ecosystem, so normally that, to your point, like I'm not the corporate IBM or, those sorts of things. So it should be fully compatible. We should be talking the same language.
Yay! I'm so happy. Whenever I meet another Apple person, I feel like just giving you a hug, like, we can talk. Because I battle with some other suppliers and vendors because you try send something quickly and it just always shuts it out. But Adam, thank you very much. It was an amazing
You are very
session.
welcome.
It was really cool. So see you next week and have an amazing Thanksgiving. Are you going anywhere? Are you staying put?
No, it's going to be hosting here. It's hosting here. So we have 20 people or so coming over tomorrow night.
20.
So it should be fun. It's coming to our house. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, it sounds lovely. Well, then you must be a good host if 20 people want to come to you. You must be doing
My wife
good.
is even better. So yes, we do well. We do well.
Well, have an amazing one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you next
A
week.
pleasure.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. I'll send you the link to I just recorded it in the cloud.
Okay.
And so you'll have just I'll just shoot you off an email with a link to the recording. And then if you guys want to download it or something like that, hopefully you can. If you can't, then just let me know.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was a good one. That was such a fucking good one. I am so excited. I'm so excited. So excited.
Pharma companies will invest millions of dollars in order
Okay. Oh my gosh. Enough recording now. Love y'all. Chili in the hoodie. Corn. Yeah.